Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Chance, and today I want to do a video about some board game adjacent accessories, or I guess some things that have made playing board games a bit more easier. These are items that I've kind of collected over the last few years while getting into the hobby board gaming experience that I think has made, setting up, playing, and managing board games at the table a bit easier for myself. Now, before I get started, just quick injury update. You may notice I'm not wearing my sling today. That's because I just had surgery on my clavicle yesterday. It went from 2 pieces. Now they got it back into 1 piece, so I can actually kind of move my arm around a bit. Now I just gotta wait for that fracture to heal, so I can't really lift anything at this point. But doing pretty well, so I'm pretty excited about that, which means hopefully I'll get to be able to play more board games this week. Now, before I dive into these accessories, I first want to call out that I am not sponsored by any of this stuff. This is all just stuff I purchased myself and that I am promoting because I like these products. Or these products are just super cheap and I just think they're worthwhile to have. One of those two. I'll leave some links to anything I've purchased down below so you can check those out if you're interested. They're not going to be affiliate links or anything like that, so, do with them what you want. Okay. Now, I have 5 primary accessories that I want to talk about, but before I dive into those ones, I'm just going to do a couple bonus accessories. These accessories are ones that I feel like are a little more common in the board gaming space. At least in my area, I see people already kind of have these things. So I'm just going to call them out really quick and knock them out, out of the way. First up is board game transportation. And for board game transportation, I think it is important to keep those lids closed. So I have a bunch of these elastic bands. So I have this one specifically board games, which has the kind of a cloth layer or cloth fabric that I think is a little nicer to the boxes than these rubber ones. But I still have a bunch of these rubber or silicone H-Bands is what they're called. And I bought, so essentially I have those elastic bands. I have a pack of those. Then I also have a variety pack of these silicone bands. The variety pack's nice because I have like the small one, so if I take like Fishing by Friedman Freeze here, we can just stick that guy on there and he's all locked up. And Eternal Decks, that's kind of a interesting shaped box and there's so many cards in there, I don't want that to get loose. So I can take like the mid-sized band and we can just toss that around that game box and we are ready to transport. And then of course, something like War of Whispers. This is where I have the rubber band, but I might use the elastic band to take care of War of Whispers. So those are super handy just when you're taking your board games out. We want to show them off to people. Next up is just a bag for your board games. So I did recently pick up a tote bag from Allplay. I kind of like this one. It's nice. It can store maybe like 4 or 5 standard size board games. And I like that it has a lid on it. So essentially there's a zippered lid top. That way, well, one, they're not going to fall out or roll around in my trunk if I throw my board games in the back. So that's a nice feature. The other part is if it's drizzling out or something, I don't have to worry about the board games getting wet, which is something I had to worry about with my other carry solution. Because I find that most of the time when I'm transporting board games, a tote bag works just great. Here is my Trader Joe's Idaho tote bag. This is what I'm carrying board games in most often. This is probably the best board game carry solution that I have. So really just any old tote bag will work. Allplay is, it's a slight upgrade. Do you need it? No. It costs like 20 bucks. You can probably get a tote bag for like $5 or $8 or something. So that's up to you if you determine that's worth it or not. Now I have had one of those giant board game bags in the past. I did like it, but I realized I was only playing like 1 or 2 of the games out of that bag ever, so it was kind of pointless to carry that many games around at any given time, which is why I kind of just switched to the tote bag. A friend of mine had a way better idea, and I was like, yeah, I should probably just be a little more selective about what I'm bringing to game night and just try to get those games played. So if you are in that situation where you are carrying a lot of games, though, I do think those bigger bags can be handy, especially if you're going to meetups where you don't know how many people you're going to have in a group, so you want to have a bit of a variety of games that you can have access to, especially if you're the one kind of expected to bring games. I've been in some of those groups where it's like, well, I'm the one that owns most of the games for this, so I'm kind of the one bringing them in, and I don't know how many people are going to actually show up to this meetup. So in that case, you have the shoulder and the duffels, which are, they're fine, they're good, they're functional. I do really like that Allplay roller bag though. It is like $100, but a friend of mine has it, and I think it's awesome. Like, I love the fact that it's the roller bag, so you don't have to carry it on your shoulder or your back and worry about the stitching breaking or whatever. And yeah, I would recommend that one if you are carrying around a large amount of board games. Okay, so we got our board games to whatever location we're going. The lid didn't pop off, so now let's talk about some of these other accessories. Well, one more bonus item because, dice tray. Most people probably, or a lot of people probably have a dice tray. I enjoy having at least just, one dice tray to keep those rolls under control a little bit. If you have someone a little more excited like me with rolling dice, I like to really chuck my dice and get a good roll. It's good to have a dice tray to keep those rolls contained and on the table. I will admit that I have this one right here, which is it can fold flat, and then it has the buttons to keep the sides up. I'm not crazy about this design, and that's just because I have so many dice that get kind of cocked in that corner there, so you don't know if they are, and you have to re-roll them, and it just absolutely drives me crazy. So I'm actually in the market for a new dice tray. I think I'm going to upgrade to a solid-sided one. I lose the benefit of it folding flat, but I'm really not that concerned about it. I'd just rather have one that doesn't have that corner for all the dice to get caught in. So I'm looking for kind of, probably a nice wooden dice tray to upgrade my home dice rolling experience, let's say. If you have any recommendations for me, I'll be willing to check them out. I know there's some really nice ones on Etsy, so if you had a good experience finding a dice tray, definitely leave it in the comments below because, like I said, I am in the market for an upgrade to my dice tray. Okay, now we can get on to the ones that I think are more valuable or more interesting. I see less people with these things. So let's start off with resource trays. So resource trays, the first ones I bought were these board game specific fold flat little silicone resource trays. Basically, you can pin up these sides, kind of like the dice tray, and you end up with this little thing with the little divots on the edges for your resource tray. Let me tell you, I hate these things. These are the absolute worst. They are too big for most resources that I have. I don't need this much space for most of my resources, which means they take up more space than I need to. They also have those little things that point out on those edges, which means I can't stack them next to each other all that well. So if I have 6 of them on the table, they take up more space than like anything else on the table. Next, they are near impossible to pour resources back into the Ziploc bag from this thing. They want to get stuck in here and you're like shaking them out. These are terrible and I do not recommend buying them. They make everything worse. What is the solution that I switched to? Well, one of my friends had a genius idea of using sauce dipping trays. And he has some smaller ones than I do, but I decided to go with these nice, they're about 3 inches in diameter. And these are now my resource containers, are these little stainless steel sauce dishes. And now what's awesome about this is I picked up a pack of 8 for $14. And that means that, yeah, I have plenty of resource trays anytime I go. These are easy to store, easy to transport. I just keep them in the box that I bought them in, take up less space than the rubberized ones. They're easier to get out. And then finally, you can just take them at the end of the game night and get people to organize the resources, and you can just dump them straight into the Ziploc baggie that those resources came from. So I think they're better in every way versus these floppy silicone ones. And yeah, it's great that I have this little carry box and I have a total of 8 dishes in here, which is awesome. Now there's also so these are the ones I got. Like I said, I'll leave the link below. There's a variety of styles, variety of sizes. As I mentioned, I find this size to be kind of in that middle ground. It is big enough to hold most resources that I have, like a large set of coins or something like that. Now, you can buy larger ones, you can buy smaller ones, but you can also buy ones of different styles if you want. Like they have wooden ones, if you want to go for a little bit of a different aesthetic, that's totally up to you. I find that the stainless steel ones just take up less space. So those are the ones I went with. Okay, next up is just a deck box. Pretty boring. I don't play Magic, but this is I believe it's a Magic the Gathering commander box or something. I think it says it holds 100 double sleeved cards. Not that I double sleeve any of my cards, but I find that for games I don't have inserts for. Now I made a whole video on inserts. I'm a big fan of inserts for games that you really enjoy, and also if that insert is going to improve your setup or takedown or just your game experience in some way, especially some of those games, like the insert will provide functionality during gameplay, like holding decks of cards and stuff. But for those games I don't have inserts for and I have sleeved cards, I'm not a huge fan of sleeving, but like a deck builder like Dune Imperium Uprising, I decided to sleeve that one because those starter decks, they get shuffled at a different rate than the cards you add to the deck, so you end up with kind of like these different wear patterns, and they start shuffling weird over time. So yeah, Dune Imperium Uprising, I have that one fully sleeved, which means that I have this large stack of sleeved cards, and if you've ever put a large stack of sleeved cards on the table, you know that all they want to do is fall over. That's like their entire goal for the entire game night is just to fall over. They want to slide everywhere and fall over. So that's why I have this deck box, and I just bring this with me, and for any game I feel like I have a stack of cards for, I'm just gonna dump them in this deck box, and I love that it has this little kickstand here, so I can just draw them off the top of that. Perfect solution. I don't need an insert for all my games, and this solves the problem of not having an insert to hold my cards during gameplay or something. And these are also pretty cheap. So I think I picked this up for like 15 bucks. I think you can generally get them for like somewhere between $13 and $16, depending on the style you're going for. But this is a great thing just to have around when you have that large stack of cards. Maybe you got a fully sleeved version of Arc Nova with no insert, and you're absolutely crazy. Or maybe you just have an on-sleeve version of Arc Nova and you just need the deck box anyways, but a sleeve version, oh my goodness, I feel like you need 2 deck boxes to keep that under control. Okay, next up, let's move on to a much smaller item. And right now I have this item stored in my Wizards of Grimoire game. This is a game that I absolutely love, a 2-player dueling game where you're trying to whittle down your opponent's health. And just like a lot of these games, they come with cards to track your health. So, and they're functional. It's kind of like Star Realms. They have cards to track your health, although I hated the health tracking in Star Realms. Now, I decided just to pick up some of these life counters. These are these 2 wheeled, so they go 0, 0 to 9, 9, right? So double-digit life counters. These are tiny, they take up almost no space, and they're also cheap. I got this 2-pack here on Amazon for 11 bucks. I think they're on sale now for like 9 bucks, so pretty good deal. I have had those kind of like wallet ones before. I'll mention that those really thin wallet ones, I kind of got annoyed with because I felt like I was gonna like cut my finger on the dial just trying to get it to turn. Whereas these ones are a little thicker. They're pretty easy to turn. So, you know, like pretty comfortable user experience with these life counters. But I find these are just nice to have for those dueling games. Like I said, Star Realms and Wizards of the Grimoire, I think are great fits for these. And I just like having them around so I can kind of not use those card counters because they're functional, but they're just not convenient. Especially if I'm playing this outside, which I do play this outside a lot, and those life counters that they get like blown around, you're kind of like screwed, and you're like, oh, what was I at? Yeah, oh. So yeah, I do really like those life counters, and they are super cheap, which is another nice thing. Next thing is a board game specific product. I struggle with that word. Some of my S's and Z's always have. And this is going to be Board Butler. So here's my little felt bag for Board Butler. This product is amazing. I absolutely love it. I pre-ordered it on the Kickstarter, I think he did a while ago. And yeah, these are, I'm calling them board tamers. They tame your cardboard. So you ever have those games that you just like the board just does not want to stay flat. You take it out of the box and it is just warped. I don't know, maybe it's I'm in a dry climate so the boards dry out a little bit over shipping or whatever, and yeah, a lot of my boards, they are just warped and they do not stay flat. I've even had one board that I tried to straighten out and I snapped it, and I was like, oh god. The game still works, but now I snapped the board and I was pretty upset about it. So I saw this solution, and these they work great. They're just these plastic caps, and I love it. It has this little mustache that you can align. You can align the center of the mustache with the seam on the board and just slide these right under, and it flattens out your board. Now, I do recommend these ones over some of those 3D printed ones you see on like Etsy or something, because those 3D printed ones, as the designer of these pointed out on their Kickstarter, those 3D printed ones do not really have the firmness, and they're usually not long enough to actually flatten out that board. They'll actually flex a little bit, so they don't have the strength to flex. to flatten out, whereas this is a very soft or a very firm plastic that is going to flatten that board out to the table. Other things I really like using this for is Dune Warfare Arrakis, like that has the, or War of the Ring, you know, that has the two-part board, and this does a great job of holding those boards together. And I also just got the Spacing Guild expansion for Dune Warfare Arrakis, which adds on a little sideboard on there, and I use this to kind of connect that up to the main board to keep things in place and not moving around during gameplay, which I think is just great. I got a 6-pack of these. I think like the MSRP on these is like $20 from the seller's website or whatever, and I think they have them on sale for $15 on occasion. So, you know, you can get a pack of 6 for pretty cheap, and I find that the pack of 6 is all I've needed. So board Butler, I think this is nice all around. Especially if you just pull out that board and it's a little warped, and then you have the pieces that are kind of tilted and sliding around. It's like, that gets super annoying. So I just love having this around just in case. I don't use it for all my games, but you know, when you need it, yeah, it's nice to have it there. And that one just travels with me whenever I take board games places now. Okay, very last thing that I have is not an accessory. This is now an upgrade, and I'm just calling this last upgrade out because I think it's cheap. It's annoying to do, but these are going to be vinyl stickers. So there's a few sellers on Etsy that make vinyl stickers for board games. And I found this out and I was so excited because Dune Imperium has the worst looking components possible for the game. For the gameplay experience, I think it's amazing. Dune Imperium Uprising, I absolutely love the gameplay. The components are insanely boring. I'm also very upset that the spice and the Solari, the money in it, like the small one's a 1 and the big one's a 5 or something, but they don't have numbers on them. It's just small and big. It's just the small is 1, big is 5. I don't like teaching that during the game. I just want it to have the number on it. I'm like, why does this not have the number on the token so people understand it just intuitively? Why do I have to tell you it's a 1 and a 5? So that's where vinyl stickers come in. I feel like you can go all out on your Etsy upgrades. Like you can get the 3D printed upgrades, and yeah, like if you have a game that you absolutely love, like you think it's going to improve your experience, like I have Ankh Gods of Egypt, and I just upgraded to some 3D printed like pyramid temple pieces, which I absolutely love. I think that improves the gameplay experience and makes the board easier to read. So I think that there are definitely those cases to go big on the upgrade. Like if you have a game you love and it's worth it, yeah. But there's some games that I'm just like, yeah, I really like this game, but I don't need to deck it out with a boatload of money with these items. I just want to have a slightly improved look and a slightly improved experience with it. And that's where these vinyl stickers come in. Now, yeah, it's time consuming to put those on, but you know, it significantly improves the look of the game. So I'm showing some photos of Dune Imperium up here, like the money now has the labels on it, the agents have some designs on them, like everything just looks better in Dune Imperium. That wood stands out a bit more with those vinyl stickers on those components. Now, I've also done this with Concordia. Concordia is an insanely boring looking game, but those vinyl stickers, that makes it pop, right? Like it brings the game to life a little bit. Then I also have Flamecraft. It's like those dragon meeples. Like they're good. They're dragon shaped wooden meeples, which are great. But then those vinyl stickers, they just add some texture. They add some color. They add a little bit of pop to those pieces and just make the game experience a little bit better. I do feel like that thematic draw into the game is important. I like the look and feel of my games. So to me, that the time spent putting those vinyl stickers on those components is worth it. I'll just sit down and watch some YouTube or watch some Netflix and spend way too long putting vinyl stickers on wooden game pieces. But you know, at the end, the goal is, so when I pull out Concordia, someone doesn't say, wow, this game looks insanely boring. Now they say, wow, did you put all those stickers on yourself? I would probably rather say, hey, this game looks beautiful now, but you know, you take what you can get. And yes, yes, I did put all those stickers on myself. But overall, yeah, it just improves the look and feel of the game, and really, for me, it adds to the experience. And vinyl stickers, you can get these things for, I think between $5 and $20, depending on the game. And the two shops I bought from are Meeple Upgrade and Levity Game. I think the shipping is really the main charge that you got to watch out for on Etsy, right? So I usually buy, if I'm putting in an order for vinyl stickers, I'll order for multiple games I'm interested in getting some minor upgrades to. And then the other thing is, if I have some friends with some games, I'm like, hey, you want some vinyl stickers? You want to split shipping costs on this? Then there you go. So that's my last one. Like I said, vinyl sticker is not really an accessory. It's a game-specific upgrade, but I think it's just one of those cheap things that if you have a game you like and it looks a little boring on the table, maybe there's some vinyl stickers out there to add a little bit of life to that game for you. Okay, so that is going to do it for my recommended board game accessories and one upgrade. As I mentioned, if you have a recommendation for a dice tray, I'd love to see it. Let me know if you have any accessories that you've gained over the years that you think have improved your game experience. Besides inserts, you can watch my insert video and then tell me what inserts I'm wrong about or right about, or which ones I should look into. And then finally, yeah, thank you for watching and thank you for spending your time with me, and I will talk to you next time.